Just like to say, I hear you when you say this is about smarter, not bigger. Part of today is not anybody's talking about bigger. We're talking about bigger cuts, the cuts that are actually happening and what that's going to mean for what the mission is for OIT. That is my concern. I do want to go back to this question about staffing and the lower levels of staffing through the DRP, the VERA, and then natural attrition. Mr. Poole, if I could ask you, OIT staffing looks now lower than what is budgeted for fiscal year 2026. Will OIT now need to rehire staff after essentially paying employees to leave?
Thank you, Congresswoman, for the question. Yes, we will likely need to continue to hire folks just as we will in perpetuity. It's a cyclical thing. You've got people coming in, going out, different life cycles of the employment process. Many of the folks that left were, again, retirement eligible. As I mentioned before, 78% of those resulted in retirements. And so we will continue to recruit. We will bring in new folks to the workforce. And as we do that, we'll be focusing exclusively on mission. So whereas we might have hired across the board previously, we're going to be looking at prioritizing for the most, again, value-added opportunities and how we're driving the mission forward for the department as we recruit.
Yeah. So, and I can imagine you could hire new folks, but I mean, for those that have left, do you imagine having to rehire any of them because the vacancy itself is too critical, they left, we need to bring them back? Can you see that happening?
Congresswoman, no, I wouldn't see that happening. Again, as we went through this process, we put a lot of rigor behind how we approved folks that wanted to take advantage of these opportunities, and again, making sure that we didn't create any operational gaps. And so it would be highly unlikely that we would be hiring folks back as a contingency. Many of them are, again, available to the end of the year, but I don't anticipate that being a contingency we'd have to exercise.
And I should just say, some of my concern is coming from the fact that over the last 8 years, it seems like OIT staff, the OIT department has been saying we're way understaffed. And now we've seen a major attrition of employees over just this last 6 months. So I guess that's part of where my concern is, but the question I'd also have is, how are you then prioritizing? When you're talking about mission, and we want everything to be mission-driven, of course, but within that mission, you're going to have to make, probably with less staff, some really hard decisions on what is prioritized and what is not. Can you walk me through what that looks like?
Yes, certainly. It goes back to the opportunity here with standardization. Previously, in the construct that you referred to, OIT would be positioned to support maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 or more similar type workflows, capabilities, or systems across the department for one set of capability. As the department standardized down to a real enterprise process on how we do business, that allows OIT to come in and really automate an enterprise solution around those functions. And so that in itself will be a tremendous efficiency driver for how we staff the organization. And then second, as I mentioned previously as well, we have a number of administrative functions that have grown into the organization. We have a lot of things that are not a pure IT-focused mission that are consuming resources within the department. And we're no different than the rest of the organization. We're going to get back to our core mission, which is delivering IT, and where we can get services and functions from other places in the department that are not IT related, we will be pursuing that.
Could you give me an example of what that would be?
Sure, I'll go back to the example of HR. We in IT over the previous administration decided to build our own HR function within the Office of Information Technology. That consumes 300 plus resources to do that. At the department level, we do have an HR department. We have several HR options within the organization. And so again, it doesn't make a lot of sense financially or otherwise to build that function in-house when we can leverage the department level resources for that.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate what you're saying about standardization, because this comes up a lot. And when we've been talking about the EHRM moving that forward, standardization seems to be really important, but I would just kind of point out my bigger concern here is without enough people power to help the VA actually in OIT standardize, that could set yourself up for failure if you don't have the people to do the standardization, because the VA is such a unique place and has a lot of challenges as it relates to standardization, so maybe easier said than done. So I'll yield back.
Thank you.